I think Mark and I were pretty synchro.
Good? All right.
Is it recording? Yes. All right, good.
Yeah, save one for Avery. Have fun with these.
No, you're setting them up, bro. I'm presenting. Leave me alone. I have to get in my happy place.
You gotta put your persona on. I need like a roller.
That is a horrible idea.
Yeah.
That is a horrible...
You said it. You wanted it over here.
Put a person there and hand them the camera.
Kevin.
Katie.
You know Nelly's from St. Louis.
Okay.
Zayna, come keep her company.
You shocked me.
Zayna, here, we need...
What do I do?
I don't have a study.
It's already recording. It's already
Whatever you do, don't turn it off.
Jackson.
Okay.
One has to go on his face.
That is this. I think that one's going on his face.
Oh my goodness.
Mr. D, one's on your face and one's on, like, the screen or the audience?
Oh my god! Don't even ask him.
Don't even start. I'm about to, like...
Mark, what are you putting yours on?
We put one on the audience and put one here.
Yeah, just videotape him and like go really tight on his face.
You want to sit here? Keep me company? Thanks.
Jackson, the audience one is right there.
Oh!
Yeah.
Right?
No, wait, hold on. See, before you move it, see what it looks like.
It's just literally the piece.
Alright, guys. I thought we were just going to do the hot order.
I don't know. It's probably 6 or 7.
What?
Didn't you say you wanted to comment?
I'm feeling calm.
Actually, no. And I got a homework pass thing once. / drop my lowest quiz grade. Mr. Maxwell. Yeah.
Yes. Alright. $100 says that when Claire Putnam gets here, she adjusts the camera so that the projection is perfect.
I don't know. Oh, well.
One time like 45. One time like 45. This is like 8. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, I can Katie, you don't have to keep it up there.
Yeah, I know, but I figured I might as well get ready.
This is like the definition of my essay right here. Like, really, if you have to see, no, I feel like I think it's the Katie, that was my essay. Comments.
What? I know, I was trying to find you, but she was parked outside, so she was like sitting in her car with an email or something. I'll tell her hi though if you want.
No, but like,
Jump onto that soccer.
yeah, no. Oh, but like, what he said was and she was like, excuse me. What did you say? No. Like we said, like in person, like thinking that your mom would just eat. No. Because I didn't completely know. It was just kind of like after I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm. Oh yeah, like I will.
Take my phone, take a picture.
Katie, did you email me? Hopefully you can put on like.
She asked if I wanted to do commercials or middle school, and I said middle school. So, should be good.
I wrote my conclusion. I know.
Yeah, that's right.
It's really like loose and comfy. What? It's really loose and comfy.
No, look at it. I would rather do it Oh, yeah, I think that's a lot of times. So basically,
Hi guys. Good morning.
I'm so happy, actually. I got called back for Cat in the Hat, Daisy,
Did Erin get called back?
yes, she did. We got called back for Gertrude and Mrs. Nair.
I think it's a pretty close call. Only one I'm not sure are Mr. and Mrs. Mayor.
Yeah. Who do you think's gonna get what?
I don't need to go through that list.
No, tell me.
Very interesting.
That's okay. I like this so much more better than the usual one.
And look how much floor space they still have.
Why don't we ever come in here?
Hi, Mr. D.
What did he do?
Tommy. Hi, Jackson.
Like, if I think that's supposed to go.
What?
Also, I would have.
I really want to see Jack Burrell. When I saw Amy doing the dance audition, I was like, what? Why aren't you limping? It's like she was so in character the last time I saw her, but I can't imagine her without a limp now.
Oh, really? You got the job of video recording today. So fun. Hey, Dad. Nope, not today. But it was like insane.
When do I do all that stuff I'm like at the moment? I'm like overworking
Their chairs, actually.
Oh!
I'm like dying.
That's a good.
We don't like you.
Everybody clear puck.
Hello. A spot has opened up and we need help with someone that can edit these videos, and because we're putting them all on YouTube. So if anyone's interested, it's actually kind of fun. You get to see the presentation and we can teach you how. He can teach you how. So you don't have to know how to do it, but just email me. You want to do it? Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll talk to you after. Thank you.
It's really boring.
That's all.
Can somebody jump on the Google Plus page? I think we have some more announcements.
No, we don't.
Waxman is looking for, I believe, 5 more people. So if you guys are looking to do research, you want to get your hands dirty, you want to start playing with the pipettes and some of the equipment downstairs, there's 5 spots, and it's a great way to learn because everybody in Waxman is kind of at the same place. They're all learning together. And there's one more. Remember when I said jump on the Google Plus page?
Yeah.
You know, what I meant was,
This is the one announcement there.
Yeah,
About the
there's-
video editing.
I don't like it. No.
No, what?
All right. There's one more. No. All right. Shall I begin then?
Time to waste.
Yes, begin.
Begin. Okay. All right. So everybody, take out your cell phone. We're gonna need them.
Doesn't work on my
Jump on to msocrative.com and type in this code, which is Luke D in numbers. It's like in the phone pad. I needed to remember it. Okay. Shh. Okay, so my mentor in research always told me to start with my gratitude, and he said, if there's a part of your talk that you never rush, it should be thank yous. So there are a million people we need to thank for making this happen, but for some reason you people get up every week and come here before school on Thursday.
We missed the number.
585-333.
Did you not hear that roll that I was on? Everybody, that was
That was really good.
I was,
You were going
I was
places.
going. That was, you just screwed up that whole presentation, Maxwell.
I'm sorry.
You're going to be up here too one day, Maxwell. Okay, so yeah, you guys get here every morning. I have no idea why you do it. I like to think it's because of the science. I doubt that a little bit, but whatever keeps you guys coming here, thank you, and please keep doing it. There's a lot of people that put this together now. It started with Matt Barrickman and then John Jack Hickey, and now it's a team of people, including Jacksons. Jackson's, Claire Putman, and Andrew Verdeska. We have the newest person to join the team, Strackman, who's going to regret that soon. And then to the people that have been supporting, the faculty that have been supporting us, Maxwell, Torres, and
Spelled my name so wrong.
Believe it or not, I've also had teachers myself. These are some of the best that I've had, and a lot of what I do, including this journal club, is based off of things that they've taught me. So, in case they watch, I want to make sure I thank them. So my talk's about addiction, and I thought that I would tell you first about how I came upon it. And in my professional life, it happened. I started when I was in high school on diabetes. When I moved to, after college, I worked from diabetes into obesity, kind of looking at the body side. And then in obesity, I came across the kind of the mental side of it. And it was the first time I came across the idea that you could take a feeling, something like hunger or something like sadness or something like depression, and you could put it in a tube, right? A plastic tube with a liquid in it. And then you could take that tube and you could put it in somebody else's head and make them feel that way. So that blew my mind, because I always thought that feelings were like part of imagination, or part of something that was greater than science. But it turns out we're not that special. We are just beings made of molecules just like everything else, and our thoughts, as important and as great as they are possibly just a series of chemicals. In my personal life, I've come across addiction in a different way. So I think my first experience with it was when I was like 4 or 5. My dad, I think I had to go to the bathroom or something like that, and my dad and I walked into a bar. It was about noon, and there was a bunch of people at that bar, and they were all staring at the wall. They were all drinking. Nobody was saying a word, and nobody was having any fun. From then on, I think that's what my mental idea of addiction was. My mental idea of addiction was a person on Skid Row. And so a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is kind of fighting that misconception. So some of the things that I talk about you might not think, but it's kind of what I thought when I was growing up. So I'm trying to correct that idea in my own head. More recently, a friend of mine fell to this, and she was a teacher, not here, and she was an all-state runner. She played basketball and soccer. During a soccer game one time, she lost a contact, and she picked it up off the ground, spit in it, stuck it back in her eye, and just kept going. She was tough, right? And she was awesome. I don't know why you guys have such weird looks on your face. That was a great story, and it highlights her perseverance. Okay. So, I didn't know it at the time, but she had a problem with pills. And when I saw her for the last time, she's not dead, but she called me one night and she said, "I've been kicked out and I need a place to stay." And I said, "Have you been drinking? Have you been doing drugs?" And she said, "Yeah." And she came over, and this amazing person, this person that was so full of like vigor and strength, was replaced by a person who was talking about death like it was a Pop-Tart. Just nothing. She was like, I was like, you've been kicked out of your house, you have nothing left, you have no job, you're in a lot of trouble. I said, "Yeah, I know, but whatever." I said, "You realize that you're not healthy anymore, right?" She said, "Yeah, I know I'm probably going to die." And she's just very nonchalant about it. Something about the way she was talking, it freaked me out, and it's not till much later, till I came upon a project here to do a chapter on addiction, that I realized what was happening. So here's my attempt to connect the professional and the personal experiences. So addicts, the mark of an addict and the psychological definition of somebody who is dependent on a drug is a person who will go to a drug or seek drug behavior despite severe negative consequences and repeated severe negative consequences. And we're not talking about speeding tickets. We're talking about losing your children, your house, going to jail and risking your life. Those are the kinds of consequences we're talking about. That people continue to persist to seek drugs after consequences like that. So my question to you is, what are they seeking? Why are they acting so recklessly? Go ahead and answer that. I'd like to hear some ideas. I know it's a really tough question, so just throw out whatever you think. Did you start the activity?
Yeah. Can I start reading?
Yeah.
Seeking a high, avoiding a low. They want the high no matter how they can get it. They'll do whatever it takes. Are they chasing that first high, question mark? An escape. Ways to feel more highs because they don't get as high anymore.
All right, so I think that our ideas about addiction are probably pretty similar. But before I go into it, I wanted to just talk about some numbers. So if you look at illicit drugs, that's mainly marijuana, heroin. Oh, by the way, marijuana is addictive. So marijuana, heroin, meth, cocaine. About 85% of the population will never use them. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, 85. About 12% will try it, and 3% will become addicted. The numbers for alcohol, a much more popular drug, are much greater. So approximately, in the last year, approximately 51% of the population drank. That's represented by the orange and the red. 43% does not meet the criteria for dependence or abuse. 7.7% do. So the question becomes, why is 40% of the population able to pick up a drink? Why is 12% of the population able to pick up a drug? And why are those red pieces of the pie people that suddenly can't put it down?
What is population? Like, is it above 18 or 21?
Population is defined as above 16. This is the US population. And just to give you an idea of, if you take the red here and the red here, you add them up, it comes to about 20 million. The population of Florida is 19.4 million. So that gives you some idea of the scope of the problem. So when I asked you what most people were doing when they were doing drugs, you said seeking a high. So imagine a piece of red velvet cake with cream cheese frosting. Maybe just a little bit of lemon in that cream cheese frosting to give it a bit of a zing. Imagine getting it, imagine putting it in your mouth, and imagine chewing it. What that's doing is actually activating a center in your brain. It's called the reward center, and it's really hard to get an idea of anatomical ideas in the brain. So I thought I'd use this 3D diagram to give you a good idea of how small our reward center is. That's it. Therein lies your drive for food, sex, water. It is what gives you pleasure when you are seeking heroin, cocaine, marijuana, alcohol, and it may be some of the drives for gambling and other obsessive disorders. It is also part of the reason you probably come to Journal Club. No, I spelled cocaine wrong. All right, so let's look at some science. So I've edited this graph just a little bit to make it a little bit simpler. So this is a study on methamphetamine, meth. And what we have is rats in two populations. Rats that have been fed meth for an hour every day, and rats that have been fed meth for 6 hours every day. They are hooked up to a machine that feeds them meth, so they can hit a lever, and it's administered. And what you can see here is that there's very different patterns of use, right? So you see, this is the 1 hour a day population. And they like meth. They do. Don't do meth. But their behavior and their use of the drug is very different than the 6 hour population. With the 6 hour population, you see a steady rise in the amount of meth. And some of you might be asking, is it just because this is the amount of meth that they can do in an hour? And that's no. They could do more. So there's two different behaviors there. The top, the white line, represents what we're talking about here. And what we're seeing here is something called tolerance. Now, the question then becomes, when you're seeking that red velvet cake again, are you trying to get that one piece and then satisfied? Or what the rats were doing, were they trying to get that piece of red velvet cake over and over again? Were they looking for many? Were they trying to seek a higher high? So there's an experiment called an ICSS. And what you do is basically hook wires up to the nucleus accumbens. That's the reward center. So a person who has a low threshold for reward, which means that they easily get reward, will require just a little bit of stimulation to activate that reward center. A person that has a high threshold for reward, which means it takes them a lot to feel rewarded, and this is chemically, will take more electrical stimulation. What we're looking at here is basically the same experiment, but I found that it was, I believe this is heroin. Heroin gave a better or cleaner of a graph. And so this high here and this high here are the same high. That is not a greater high than this. So again, these rats are being fed heroin, not to the mouth, but these rats are being fed heroin. It's over a course of time, and as they use it, as time increases, their use increases. But again, they're not chasing a higher high. At this point, it takes the same rat more heroin to get to the same high. It takes more heroin to activate that reward center. Somebody have a question? Yes?
Why is there such a high spike in the middle of the graph?
I don't know what that spike represents. I looked at it in all the data back to the original. It's represented in the original use as well. So this is a percentage. So I'm guessing something happened that day, whether it was a cage change or something that may have stressed them out.
Okay.
Anybody else?